Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Underground Kings podcast. Today I am joined by Kurt with Project Uncharted. Kurt, how you doing today?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Doing well, doing
Good.
well. So I appreciate you coming on, considering I just touched base with you on Instagram
Yeah.
the past week, kind of last minute. But tell me a little bit about yourself. Give me a little bit of a background on where you're from, what your journey has been.
Yeah. So my family immigrated from Philippines, 2004. So I was born and raised there until I was 12. And then we immigrated to Montauk, Long Island, New York. And my grandfather actually petitioned us there to have a better life, right? So we stayed there for about a year. And then after about a year, we came down here to South Carolina just because everything was so damn expensive up there. And here we are, 2005, and now to present, been here in Myrtle Beach since.
That's awesome.
As far as that, yeah.
Now, what about jobs? What kind of jobs have you worked over the course of your life?
Man.
And how old are you?
I'm 31.
Okay, that's
I'm
good
31.
for
It
context.
feels like I want to say 32 because I'm so close. But 31, and man, like, to be honest, I've never really had a lot of jobs. I think when I was like maybe 14, I worked as a like stock, not like the actual like stock, but like in a grocery store, stocking food and stuff like that. And then after that, I worked as manual labor for Lakewood Campground right here.
Yep.
And man, that was one of the hardest job I've ever done. Like physically, it didn't require a lot of like thinking, but I give props to the people who does like manual job every single day, because that's some hard work. I did it for a season, and it really like whipped me bad, And then I remember one of the guys that told me, he's like, hey, because like some of the older guys that were making fun of us because we were messing up, and then hey, just remember that these guys will be here forever, and then you guys here just only for seasonal job. That's it. That's the only thing that you have to keep looking forward to. This is not your actual career, right? And then after that, I worked for sports doctors, and I did my internship there first, and then after that, they offered me the job for like the hours I was working, and I was ecstatic because that was my quote unquote my real job, my first real job, and they had like a chiropractor, so I helped them through that with like the therapies, like the e-stems and what else, like the heat, the cold, and stuff like that. And but they kind of screwed me over afterwards, And then I'm not sure if you want to dive into that, but they screwed me over afterwards just because I guess I was like naive and I was so loyal, and I just thought, yeah, like it's fine. You guys can pay me whenever, and then whenever really came, like never, right? And then after that, I found ISI Elite Training, and ISI basically means iron sharpens irons from the Bible, and that right there just actually changed my life. I got to connect with people like-minded, and then from that, through that, I just grew, and then here I am now, stepped down from ISI, and I'm a full-time online and fitness trainer, and man, that's been a roller coaster, man, and it feels like I'm still maturing. Like sometimes like in a job, they tell you what to do, you get better at it, and then that's it. Okay, cool, you're starting to get boring. But with having your own business, it's like, man, like, okay, I can get better at this, I can do this, I can hire somebody to do this, and there's so many cards you can play, and then it overwhelms me eventually, and that's been like a journey to me as far as that. So as far as jobs, I've only had like maybe like 4 or 5, and that's it. Because my mom told me just, hey man, you don't need to work. I'll take care of everything as long as you do the work at school, keep your scholarships, that's it. And then I worked at Hollister too. That's where I worked with my wife. I forgot about that. But I was making like $7.25, working for 4 hours, and then plus the tax on top of that, it's like $22, $23 per work time. And man, like I can't imagine now just getting $25 for 4 hours.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it's been a roller coaster, man. But everything I've loved it, man.
So you mentioned off the record before we started here, you have recently taken on this new endeavor of yours, as far as taking it on full time, the online fitness coaching. What was that transition like?
Man, it's been in the works for like like even before I really completely dived in, it's been in the works for like the past like 2-3 years before that.
Okay.
You know, it started off with COVID, and I guess like sometimes you're in La La Land, and you don't really know like, oh man, like I have this perfect job, working 9 to 5, I'm getting paid, I love my job, and then you were just kind of like in like that bubble, like nothing will ever happen, and then COVID happens, right? Two of our full time, they were a pretty good high position, they got fired, or not fired, but they got laid off, right? And I was like thinking, it's like man, like that could have been me. They could have let me go, and what would I be doing? And that kind of like everything just kind of set in, and we're like, man, I need to start investing in myself, investing into building me, right? And how can I be of service to other people and be valuable to other people? And I started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Have you ever read that book?
Yep.
Man, like that book right there was the first of many. That completely transformed like my mindset as far as like where the money come from, who works for the money, and that has really, I've read that book maybe like 3 to 4 times now, and that has really just gave me like the opportunity to like, okay, who makes the most money? You know, again, it's not all about money, but you do have to set yourself up to where, you know, you're able to make money so that way you can help more people.
Absolutely.
And one of the four things that on that book said was, you know, there's 4 categories: business owners or employee, self-employed, business owners, big business owners, and then investors. Who makes the most money? Big business and investors. And who gets taxed the most? Employee and self-employed. And I was like, man, like that blows my mind, right? And so after that, I started investing in myself, learning about the stock market, and investing on like the Robinhood stuff.
Yep.
So I fell into like that rabbit hole, and I was doing Uber, I was doing side hustle, like as far as nutrition wise, as well as full time, and then but I was a perfect time to really invest in myself, and I just kept doing it. And next thing you know, I told Spencer, I told Adam, which is the CEO of ISI, hey, I want to do part time. You know, start doing part time so that way I'm able to invest my time on my side hustle, my business. And I was still doing Uber, I was still doing that, and that was a rough time actually, like doing Uber with that. And what else did I do? And then after that, after like a year, I told my wife, hey man, I'm ready to step down, and she freaked the fuck out because again, like for her, like for the most like general population, like it's all about like 9 to 5. You know, oh man, I got a good job, I'm working for this, is my salary. It's risky to do a business, you know, and like compared to my brothers, I'm a little bit different. Like my older brother, my younger brother, they're always what is that? Like they're super smart, they're book smart, they're, you know, successful in that. But for me, I was like, quote, like the not so smart, but I was bold, right? I was willing to take those chances. So next thing you know, I told my wife I'm ready to step down. She freaked out, but I still did it in a ways. And I just needed to prove it to her that I am able to take care of the family. I'm able to take care of myself and her at the same time. And I told her, even if this doesn't work out, I have money that I saved up from my side hustle under the table at that time, as far as nutrition coaching. And then I did like my Uber. I had like maybe 10,000, and it grew to like 16,000 from the Robinhood, you know, investment. But obviously, like now it just kind of, all right, well, the ride is done. So like now it's like 12,000, something like that. And I told her, hey, even if I don't make this work out, I have 12,000 in the bank, and I can at least pay 10 to like 12 months of mortgage, you know, of that. And I'll take care of the mortgage, and that's it. And do you think that I'm not able to find something within those 12 months? Right. And she finally was able to like drop her guard. And then here I am still working on my business and still maturing as a business owner, because I'm a very like hands-on type of guy. And sometimes it's hard for me to let go of control and like hire somebody and then coach them. And then that's been like my, you know, that's like my next step, but that's been like the hardest thing, just to give somebody a control, you know, of that. So
I know that's been a serious challenge for me, or was for a long time. You know, like for instance, Ethan that was just in here, he does a lot of the content, the editing for clients, for my personal brand.
Right.
Originally when I brought him on, originally it was just, I was outsourcing to him to come in, and he was just managing my personal brand. He now does stuff for clients because he blew me away on what he was doing on my personal brand. And it was an interesting dialogue, internal dialogue I was having leading up to it. And I remember it was kind of two-faceted. Is one side of it was, I'm not going to bring, this was my first like bringing somebody in kind of thing. I'm not going to bring someone in that I don't know that I can, like you were thinking when it came to your wife, you were thinking like, I can cover mortgage, like we're going to be okay if things go wrong. I was kind of in that headspace of, I'm not willing to bring on a team member or bring somebody on my ship if I don't know that we can set sail. Right. So for me, I wanted to make sure that was good. But another big component of it was that releasing control. It's like, I'm not going to be the end all be all. And in order, and we see this on the agency side all the time, is a client comes to us with their business, it's their baby. And they want us to, let's say, create content and manage their social media presence for them. And a lot of them have a very hard time letting us do what we do best, because they want to like check up on things or do this, do that. But what they don't even realize they're doing, and luckily I had this lesson learned by the time I had Ethan come in and start doing work, is I had already learned from being in the agency space that when the clients brought me on, it was the bigger clients that I worked with, really. They would bring me on because they didn't have the time to even think about social media. So they would never want to they didn't even want to know what I was doing. They just trusted that I would do it right. And it was those clients that I always repetitively was getting the best results for. So it's like, I had learned my lesson. I was like, all right. I said, Ethan, I want to bring you in to do my personal brand content. I'm not going to touch it anymore. Like, I might have some ideas for, footage we might do or activities we might cover. But apart from that, I want you to have creative freedom. And I want you to like try and get in my headspace, try and see what I'm seeing, and then do it to the best of your ability. And what he ended up doing and what he ended up creating content-wise is 100x what I ever could have told him to do.
Right, because they're an expert in that.
Bingo.
And I mean, that's even hard for me as like a business owner, where it's kind of like, you kind of like, I kind of want to learn how to do that too. I kind of want to do this. But again, like, you can never be good at anything if you're always dabbing on like everything, right? And even for me, like as far as fitness too, like I was, what did I do? I did wrestling in high school. Then after that, I did MMA. I did powerlifting. Then my friend convinced me to do bodybuilding. And I was like, what the hell not, right? And I was like, I did exercise sports science. Now it's time to put in what I learned in school and then just apply it. And I did that. And then back to powerlifting. Didn't like the way I looked. I was starting to get too thick, and then went back to like kind of somewhat of bodybuilding. And I started doing Spartan races and jiu-jitsu, and then back to Spartan races. So like I've been just being everywhere. But I told myself, hey man, like that's good. But if you want to be the best at one thing, focus on one, right? Everything else is kind of like a side thing. Because like what happens with me is like I got like that, shiny syndrome, right? Oh man, I want to do jiu-jitsu. And next thing you know, I'm such a competitor that next thing you know, I'm like full on blast, like doing 5 times a week jiu-jitsu, working out 3 times. And then I was like, dude, I can't do this anymore, And now like I'm a professional natural bodybuilder now. But I might retire though. I don't know, man. I mean, we don't make fucking money with that, And I mean, the Olympia just happened this past week or 2 weeks ago, and those guys are making money. But at the same time, like they're putting like drugs into the system, So at what cost? So for me to be taking something, and to be competitive like me, if I started taking something, but then also try to keep it safe, I'll never be competitive. And I can't compete naturally. Now I can't compete competitively in like non-tested divisions. Just because some of those guys are taking so much, I can't compete. Right. Am I willing to do that and, have a heart attack at 45? I'm just not willing to do that. And but yeah, damn, like I forgot what we were talking about. We went off on that tangent.
No, that's perfect, man. Like that leads right into like, I very much relate. I completely understand what you're talking about when you say, it's almost like guys like us, we have to learn to say no to stuff because I'm the same fucking way. So I joined Beast Boxing. So I joined this Beast Boxing gym.
Oh damn!
I've always been into boxing, but kind of just layman's, doing it on my own, training with friends, stuff like that, sparring, whatever. And so finally was like, all right, I'm gonna join a boxing gym. And I remember she was like showing me around the facility, and I'm like, I'm in the zone. I'm like, I've never had access to all this equipment. I've always just had like a heavy bag in my basement and like my brother to beat on or something, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm like looking at all this, and then she goes, oh, and we have a team. We have a boxing team, and you know, you can get licensed. We help you book your own fights, all this stuff. And I'm just like, I'm locked in. I'm like, okay. And then finally I kind of had that moment at the end where I had to like almost bear myself back, be like, okay, hold on. You need to like take this home and ponder it before you, because I would join the team right on the spot. I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then I would join the team, and not taking into account all the other responsibilities that I have in my life, I would go to the boxing gym, become obsessive with boxing. Because for me, if I were to join a boxing team, I'm not going to join a boxing team and look to book my first fight just to have my first fight. Like now I want to be a fighter.
Yeah, like just to say I did it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. No, I become obsessed with, and then I want to be the best, and I can create these delusions in my brain of like, oh well, I'm boxing now, so like now I got to strive to be champion.
Yeah.
It's just like,
it's funny you say that, because I fought MMA like amateur wise, and one of the best thing I've ever done, by the way. So if anybody's listening to this, if you want to try it, just do it, because it's, like especially for a man, and to feel like capable of. I guess destroying somebody who's untrained, it's like, it's different, you know? It's like you have that confidence. But anyways, going back, so like when I started MMA for the first time, you know, I started training and this and that, and then I got to like my first fight after like 2 years. Man, I got, I'm not gonna say obsessed like it's a bad thing, but it's also a good thing too. You know, so I got like really honed in with that. I was training, at college time too. And I was doing my strength training. Then I'll do like, after that, I'll do like a 20-minute like intervals on like the treadmill. And then I'll do my jiu-jitsu. So next thing you know, it's like 3 to 4 hours right there. And then I remember like I was getting ready for my fight. I had a fight camp. I told my wife, or girlfriend at that time, I was like, hey, I kind of don't need a girlfriend right now. And she got so fucking pissed off on that. It's like, I'm the only one that's like been showing up and supporting you and this and that. You know, because I told her, it's like, I don't need, any help, this and that. But like, she's been there, and I guess like that was like, like my mistake of just kind of like, oh man, I'm going to do this, and that's going to be able to focus on everybody else. Fuck you kind of type thing.
Blinders up.
And we've been together since then, and, but that's something that I know, like I have that personality, even in a bodybuilding show where it's not about just training hard, it's training hard, but then also like you're completely depleted too. And your sex drive is fucking low. And so we're foster parents, right? So we just became foster parents last year. So we have he's 12 now, but we have a 12-year-old. So that's another variable on top of that. We have a kid that's not mine, but, I treat him like my own, right? And so we have that. He has his own ways. He has his own personality. I have my own upbringing, like how my parents taught me, and then my wife's, upbringing. So like we have like a completely contrasting kind of parenting style.
Yep.
And then I was on prep at that time too, which like I would say that was probably one of the hardest thing, as far as like, for me, I was fine because I can like take the suck, I can take like the depletion, the hunger. But as far as relationship wise, and dude, it was tough. And I've said some things that I wasn't proud of just because I was so focused. Here's what I'm gonna fucking do. And I'm gonna focus on that. Just put me in the back room, no light, just let me do the work. That's it. And my wife, her love language is physical touch. So my least love language is physical touch. So for her to not be able to like touch me and like comfort me, it's like that was killing her. And then for me, it was kind of like, feels like it's like needles. Like when she like pats me in the back and just kind of rubs my back, it feels like she's trying to like, hey, it's okay.
Right.
Like everything's gonna be okay. And in my mind, I was like, everything's gonna be fucking okay. I'm gonna make it okay. But for her, it's like trying to comfort me, like feeling like weak.
Right.
But that's not her intention. But our marriage wasn't really doing good at that time. And that was tough. And then Jude wanted to go home, and that made us kind of feel like we're not adequate to be parents, even though we're trying our best to like provide and, it's, oh man, I miss my family. So it makes us even feel worse. Oh man, in my mind, because like my insecurity starts to come in where like, like being second, right? And so when he says that kind of stuff, in my mind, I was like, you know what? If you want to fucking go home, go home. We're doing the best over here. Go home. Go back over there. He's like, I'm not gonna be second. To be honest, like I kind of like when we were driving to I think Bob Evans one time, and he was playing on his Nintendo Switch, and it was time for dinner. So we were driving to Bob Evans, and hey, finish that up, and we gotta go. We gotta go eat dinner. And he was like pounding, and he was like complaining and stuff like this. He was playing with the family, right? But he plays with them every single day. So we kind of like, hey, we're gonna go eat. Either you don't come and not eat, or you come with us and eat, right? So like on the way, I guess like I shouldn't have kind of said it that way. I just kind of said it's like, hey, you're not gonna pick me second. I told him that you're not gonna pick me second. We're trying our best as parents, and you're not just gonna pick a second and like prioritize. Like we're trying to take care of you right now. And that's what we're trying to do. So that way like your parents will get their chance to take care of themselves. So that way you guys can come back. Right now you're in our care and we're trying our best. And for you to like make us feel like you want to go home and not hang out with us, it makes us feel like crap. And I'm not going to be second. I kind of like blew up as far as that. And he was 11, so it might not really like went inside and it might went over. But he probably kind of like felt that a little bit, like how I was feeling, and because again, like that was my insecurity, is just being second. I was bullied as a kid growing up, and I wasn't the most athletic, and it really shows when I'm struggling and I'm not doing good with my business, like things like that. It really shows like my insecurity, like, oh man, I'm not gonna be second. I'm gonna do everything I can. Everybody else, you can move out of the way because I gotta get this because I'm not gonna be second anymore. And then I try to start pushing people away. And then being a prep didn't help either.
Right.
Like,
no, I can
because he was picky. I mean, he's a child, But in my mind, I was like, how many people are starving right now in fucking Africa?
Yep.
And I'm over here, like, I can eat grass if I want to. That's how hungry and depleted I was. Even though like, I was eating a good amount of veggies, and I was still in a depleted state where I wasn't eating enough calories. And man, that was a rough time, especially I think for like the family, like they felt that, and for me, I can suck up the pain, and I think that's the one thing I'm good at, is I can like put my feelings aside and just like go. I would say that's one of my biggest strength and also my biggest weakness, because I'm not able to, I guess you could say, kind of like be, what is that, like kind of like sympathy, I guess you could say.
I think the word would be sympathetic.
Yeah. I'm not able to. I was like, oh man, just suck it up, bro. I was like, there's like people right now, like I'm from Philippines, I use that sometimes.
Yep.
I'm from Philippines, man. Like I've seen people like ravaging through like trash because they got nothing to eat. And look at you over here complaining about you eating chicken. I was like, go eat that shit. I didn't say that, but like, it's just like in my mind, that was it. How could people waste so much food? But now that I'm not on prep, that's a little bit kind of alleviate a little bit, and that like kind of like that survival kind of thing, and yeah, that was rough, man. That was rough as far as that.
I can imagine. I resonate with that too. I mean, I'm realizing throughout this conversation how similar kind of our archetype probably aligns. But yeah, what I tell people is I'm not a sympathetic person. I don't tend to feel sympathy for others. I'm capable of feeling empathy, but not sympathy.
Right.
So empathy is, someone in your life is doing something horrible or nasty or whatever, and it's affecting you. I can have empathy for your situation. So listen, that sucks. I understand that hurt. I can understand what you're going through. But I do not have sympathy if you choose to act in a negative manner because of it. Right. Because if I've been through something similar, or I know someone who's been something similar who has done the right thing, like I know how much harder it is to do the right thing when shit sucks.
Right.
But I also know what it's like to make the decision to do the right thing anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't have sympathy for you if you want to like throw your life away because, you had you just had somebody rough in your life
Yeah.
coming up or whatever. It's, one of those things where like there's people, you get choices, there's choices that you have to make. It's how you react to these external influences that are going to define who it is that you become.
Right. It's like that quote, what is that? 10% is what happens to you, and 90% is how you react to that.
Absolutely.
Because like you can put people in different situations and people can react in a different way. Some people kind of take it as a challenge. It's okay, that's an opportunity for me to get better. And then some people just kind of crumble. And then with me, like when I got bullied, I was like, looking back now, like I was glad that I got bullied because it made me who I am now. Now like I watch UFC, I love MMA, I love jiu-jitsu. Back then it was like I hate like physical confrontation. Now for me, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, man, do something, man. Yeah. Do something. Come on, bro. It's like I'm very conservative, but at the same time, it's like once you like let that door open, it's like it's almost like, man, like I'm waiting for this. I'm not the one to like start something, but like, man, like it's like something in me that's kind of like that. It's like kind of like almost like when you're playing video games, right? When somebody beats you, it's like let's go again. It's like until I can beat you. It's like it's almost like that, And it's funny, like you were saying about like empathy and sympathy, because like last year I kind of struggled with that. And I had to talk to one of the clients. He's like older. He's like 55 or something like that. So he had like experience. And I was struggling like really, really, really bad with that. And just because like that's when I started kind of doing my side hustle with like the nutrition. Everybody was fucking complaining about this and that. Oh, I still got to get food. I still got to get groceries. I was like, bro, it's like, you get to get groceries. Why are you complaining about that? Get versus I got to. And like, dude, it just like sets me off where it's kind of like people are complaining about this. Oh man, I got my kid's soccer game. I was like, that's okay. I was like, you get to watch your kids. Some people, got their kids taken away, or some people like have lost their kids. I was like, you get to that. You should be happy for that. And I said, why are you complaining about that? And, but like that, I think it was like summer. And I think one thing that set me off, funny because you had Spencer here because he was like part of that story. And I think that one thing that really set me off was I was leading a class, like leading a session. It was a Saturday morning, right? And Spencer and Caitlin and then my wife Miranda, they met at the gym like 6:30 to go run outside, right? And also I got there like 6:30 because I got to get my workout in before like the actual class starts at 8. So they came in and then they got their run. They were fine. And then they hopped onto my class, right? So, okay, all right, cool. And then on one of the, after the circuit, it was like 8 stations. Boom, 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 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. All right, guys, before we take a break, I need a lap outside. Go run outside, right? And then you have 2 minutes to get back. The faster you get done, the more rest you get. And if you just walk it, you won't get any rest at all, right? So 2 minutes. And then I saw Caitlin. If you're seeing this, I'm not trying to say like you're bad, but Caitlin went to the bike, and then my wife went to the bike too, right? And I was already in a bad mindset, And then for me to see that, it's like, man, like why are you guys like riding the bike, taking the easy way out? Oh man, my knee hurts. And in my mind, I was like, your knee fucking hurts right now? When like the whole workout, you weren't even complaining about it? So I was already in a bad mindset. It was bad. It was bad. And then we finished the whole workout and yada, yada, yada. And I remember I was just in a bad mood. And my wife asked to go to the beach because it was summer. And I remember I just had my phone and I sat down on the beach. I was like, I don't want to go to the fucking beach. I don't want to look for shark's teeth. I sat down. And then guess what? I was like looking up like, I was looking up the military. And I was looking up how do I become like a ranger? And because like in that mindset, I was like, you know what? Like, I don't need feelings. I just need somebody to do the work. Or they tell me, hey man, go to this village, raid the village, shoot some people in the face, and then save some people. That's it. Like at that time, that was like very pleasing to me. I don't think I was in prep at that time. I don't think so. I was just a very bad mindset. And I was looking it up. I was like, damn, like they don't fucking make money. I was like, how am I gonna go to ranger school and like make like $45,000 a year, 50K? I was like, I can make more money here. I was like, damn, like that's what I wanted to do, but I don't make fucking money with that, So I was just like stuck in that. I looked up that SWAT, I was like, let me raid some houses or something like that. Like, I just need somebody to like either like I'm like the CEO. Where like, guys, here's what we gotta do. We're gonna go to the village. I don't care. I know, I get it. Everybody's afraid, and you got to come home. But you got to take this seriously. Here's the plan. Bang, bang, bang. If we hit this, I'm going to take everybody home safe. But we got to shoot some people in the face. And that was like my mindset then. And, or me be the soldier. It's like, hey, let me get into the Navy SEAL. Hey, you tell me what to do. I'll go do that without any remorse. I'll save some people. And that was just bad. I mean, even still to this day, I still have like that mindset of like, I don't care. I was like, let's just get the work done. But now that having a foster son, that's a little bit different. I can't approach my wife that way. I can't approach, him that way. I can't just say, hey, suck it up, because like, he's 12 years old. I remember being 12 and not really giving a shit about anything else. I just want to play, but like, I'm like that perfect example of like a dad where like I'm measuring his success with my stick, so that's been kind of like hard for me, as far as that, because he's a totally completely different kid. And me and my wife were like competitors, and he's not that kid, which kind of like, it's kind of tough because like in soccer, he's not like, I wish like he would have like that, oh man, I want to get good at soccer. So like, he'll just tell me, it's like, hey, can I play soccer outside? Can I just juggle? Can you practice with me? He'd rather play on his phone, So it's kind of like that, like, man, like he said he wants to, but he'd rather play games, And it's been hard for me, like even like as a dad, because I mean, we have a 12-year-old kid. It's not like, oh, you had like a newborn and you kind of like slowly kind of build up to that to become a father, and then that's like, hey, here's a 10-year-old kid, go take care of him, and it's hard, to go from here, focusing on the success, to like now kind of like, doing that. So I've been like, I've been saying like, hey, I'm proud of you. Hey, you're doing good, but it's so hard sometimes, man,
I mean, to clarify, which I think is really important, especially in today's day and age, everybody on creating whatever content, they're just speaking on matters that they don't truly fully understand. So to clarify, I'm not a father. Am striving to be, absolutely, one day. But I do have a certain level of experience in the way that my relationship was with my father growing up. And I mean, I think about a lot of the times when he and I would butt heads when I was growing up, or things when I'd be angry or upset with him about being hard on me or whatever it was, whether it be sports, if I messed up at a sports game, I knew I was going to hear about it in the car. And it was all, oh, leave me alone. Like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, whatever. But now I look back at 25 years old, I look back on a lot of those memories and those moments, and I have nothing but appreciation for them. And I think there's actually beauty in the way that you're looking at it. Like you said, you're looking at him through as far as where he's sizing up to your measuring stick.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people can caught up in saying, like, jumping to the conclusion of like, oh, that's a toxic father-son relationship. But I don't believe that that's true at all. I believe that a father is looking at how his son measures up to him, even at a young age, because that father's true purpose in life, as far as his relationship with his son, is to see the day where his son overtakes him, is a better man than he ever could have been.
Yeah.
And I think without having that measuring stick in place, there's no metric for you to look at it that way. And another thing too is like, I think that's, to me, I'm very, when it comes to relationships in life, when it comes to the way I choose to carry myself, live my life, I have traditional values at my core. And so with that being said, I look through, relationships as there is this beautiful thing about relationships, and that's that there is a masculine component from the male, and there is a feminine component from the woman. And I think that a lot of this kind of, you can get caught up in the overwhelming dialogue around you from society as a whole saying like, we should blur the lines, but like, you don't have to feel guilty about being the man, about being the father figure to your kid, if so long as they're still getting the nurturing that they need from the feminine side of the equation. So it's like, I remember my father, like, we did not test our limits with our father. he was a disciplinarian. He had a set of rules that he enforced, and I had a lot of respect for that. And my mother, she'd, coddle us. She'd let us get away with a little bit more.
Man,
she'd
that's
always
speaking
be like,
to me right now.
You did a great job today. Like, we lost. And my father would be like, you lost. Like, you got to own that, and you need to show up next time and win. And so it was like this ebb and flow, but the beauty of it was like, but similarly, when my brother and I were dicking off as kids or fighting or bickering or doing something wrong, like, I remember to this day, my mother would finally snap, and she would just, I'm going to get your father. And then she'd call his name, and we'd hear his footsteps coming down the hall. It all ceased. It all stopped. But that's what the beauty of that relationship was. And there was different circumstances
balance,
where it's balance.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful balance. And I think that is the perfect environment to nurture and raise a child.
Yeah. I do believe in the traditional core values.
Yep.
Just because, again, like, it doesn't really matter. There's a difference between a man and a woman.
Without a doubt.
I mean, physically, I remember I was watching this, it was like Facebook. It was like Jubilee or something like that. Okay. And it was like basically like, just like they have like controversial topics, and they'll have like people. Do you believe that, or like it's like rich people and then poor people, something like that?
Yep.
Do you believe that the money that you've earned is what you deserve or something like that? And then obviously like the rich people like sat down, because like the money they've earned is like they work for that. And you can tell like the people like that are poor, man, you didn't earn that, you stole that money, or like you're feeding off people who this hardworking male and female. But anyway, it's like it was like kids, it was like teenagers, right? And it was like, do you believe that a boy is stronger than a girl? One of the boys sat down and he defended himself. He was like, I do believe that a boy is stronger than a girl, just because biologically, like we are built for that. But not trying to say that, I think it was like a 14-year-old kid. So for him to have this capacity, and then he was like, I'm not trying to take away, but women are just better with like nurturing and, more emotion. They're just better at that. Guys, we suck at that. I mean, like, I can look at myself, it's like, man, like, I don't know how to like, cuddle up with, Jude, and then just kind of like, hey man, how are you feeling? It's more like, you feeling good, man? All right, cool. All right, here's what we're gonna do. And same thing, like, again, traditional core values, and it doesn't matter like what you think. It's biologically. I mean, is there gonna be like maybe like some outliers?
Correct.
Sure. And some males are gonna be a little bit kind of feminine, and some females gonna be masculine, but they're still male female biologically.
Absolutely.
And that's something I just don't agree with. Like sometimes like people, and it's like, I don't care what you say, if somebody's coming after your house and somebody's attacking your house, you're gonna call, well, who do you want? Like a 6'2", guy, or like a 5'4" woman who weighs like 130? Who are you gonna pick? You're gonna pick the man, just because like we're just built to do that.
That's what I tell people all the time when the argument really boils down to its core. I tell people, if you want to see this world that has gone so far away from these traditional values, I believe, in recent times, if you want to see it revert back very quickly, send us to war, or have war on the home front.
Yeah,
women will be happy to default to what a woman traditionally did, and the men will happily go to war, give up their freedom to go to war.
Well, I think what it is too is like we're living in this bubble in the United States. I mean, when was the last time we've had a battle, like a war, like battle here?
Civil War.
Civil War. That's it. I mean, just imagine living in Afghanistan or like Israel. You living in fear, and every single like male, they have to go 2 years. Like Germany right now, they have that where like for 2 years you have to participate in like in the military. I know when I used to work for Lakewood, one of the guys, they were in Ukraine. They were from Ukraine. I remember that, and he was like saying, "Oh man, that was a waste of time. I spent 2 years in the military. I could have been building my life." But that was the rule then, because I mean, look at Ukraine now. That was like, I don't know, like 2012 or something like that. Actually before that, because that was before college. But I was like probably like 2010. And look at it now. I'm not gonna say holding their ground, but like just imagine if they didn't have that in place, and Russia is like invading, and they have like all these feminine males. It's like, oh man, I don't know how to shoot, and like people just don't realize that. And even for me, like as a father, like I try to look at myself. It's like, okay, what does a father do? Provide, protect. If I can't even be in shape,
Bingo.
it's like, what am I doing as a father? That's my main, like I think as a man, like as a father, that's our main innate, I guess, like trait that we have to protect. I mean, you see like the pride of lions, what does the male lion do? Protect the territories, from other males. And that's just, I mean, they're kind of lazy as far as like,
right.
Hunting, but that's what they do is like provide protection to the whole pride. And that's why like for me, like as a coach, as far as fitness and nutrition, like when I coach a man, and especially if they're dad, it's like, hey man, you are a dad. They look up to you. What happens if, like, let's say your house catches on fire?
Yep.
What are you gonna do then? And you have a 100-pound daughter, and then another 120-pound daughter. They're still asleep. The fire alarm is going off, and then your wife is grabbing all the documents, and then you're over here trying to pick up your daughter, 120 pounds, down the stairs, out to like the next block, come back, pick up the other daughter. I was like, would you even be in shape enough to be able to do that? Like people are living in such this bubble where like, well, like I'm okay to be this fat. I'm okay to be out of shape. It's like, well, damn, like what if somebody comes into your house, there's two guys, what are you gonna do? You're out of shape. You're not strong. You're fat. And then what are you gonna do? And again, like that's the number one duty that we have is protect, and oh man, I have a gun. Well, what if like the gun jammed or something like that? What are you gonna do? And I think sometimes people forget that. And as a fitness coach, I see it all the time, especially like the man. They're normally just egotistical. They're easier to work with as far as like weight loss and body wise because they don't diet all the time. But females are easier to coach. They're just harder to coach them because like they're always on a diet, and they're under muscle mass. They're afraid to eat more, But a man, they don't give a shit. So if they just give a shit, they start losing weight. But they're typically like egotistical. Oh man, I gotta get big. Like my shirt is not feeling, it's feeling loose. I was like, bro, it's like, it's not because of that. You just don't have muscle mass.
Right.
You're still fat. You're still overweight. We just need to build you up from that. Because a lot of men, they feel like, oh man, I gotta bulk. And in reality, for them to actually look better and look good, they just need to eat better and like actually cut down. It's not about like having like bigger chest, bigger back, and just bigger in general. It's more like, hey man, like the reason why you want to get bigger is because your stomach is bigger than everything else. And you're in your mind, I got to get everything else big. But in reality, you just got to shrink that down. And perspective wise, you look bigger, and that's why like I try to keep myself like in bodybuilding, like my shirt would start to get loose, especially as a natural bodybuilder.
Yep.
I start to feel like I'm like weak as shit, like I'm like, man, like I'm a skinny bitch. I'm like, I look like a marathon runner just because like, for us natural, we don't pack on a lot of muscle mass. And for me I was like maybe like 155 when I got super lean at like maybe like 4% body fat.
Wow.
155 is like a high schooler, and I stopped like squatting. I stopped deadlifting just because it was such a full body exercise. And for me to be that depleted, it just sucked. So I started focusing more like isolation. And that's where you see like a lot of bodybuilders, they didn't do a lot of squats. They do more like isolation stuff because it's easier on the body when you can isolate rather than like do sets of 10s on the squats and it takes you like 5 minutes just to recover from that.
Right.
But
I really like the way you're talking about the dialogue that you're having with your male clients of like protect and provide. In today's day and age, we're being brought up in a kind of an ecosystem of society as a whole that our youth lacks an understanding of the brutality of war, the brutality of physical contact. And, if they're not doing some kind of combat sport or something to experience the humbling nature of a punch in the mouth,
they don't understand.
You just don't get it. And like really understanding, like protecting and providing.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of men today are getting the placebo effect of money and what it can do on that protecting and providing spectrum. Because now today, if you have enough money, you can put a roof over your family's head. You can make sure there's food on the table, and they are, in your eyes, potentially you could see it as they are protected and they are provided for. But
Until
then
shit
one
happens.
guy kicks in your door at midnight to take everything from you,
Yeah.
and you're fucked.
Yeah, that's funny you say that because like I'm not sure if it's just me. I'm pretty sure it's all males, But like when you're walking down when you're walking down with your wife or something like that, and you see like a dude, it's like, oh man, what if that dude like attacks me? What would I fucking do right now?
Absolutely.
That's
all
me.
the time.
That's me every single day. It's like, oh man, like I see this dude right here. It looks kind of big, but am I gonna be able to take him down?
Absolutely.
I mean, I've been off of the fight game in a while, because I did MMA and then I did jiu-jitsu for 2.5 years, and I loved it, and then life kind of happens. I stick to like bodybuilding, especially for my business, because like people want to see like, oh, transformation, okay, cool. But if you're showing like a bunch of like jiu-jitsu stuff, you don't really need to get cut up. You don't need to get bulk up. People want to see like change. So like I eventually just picked bodybuilding because like people, it's a head turner.
Right.
Oh man, you were 20% body fat. Now you're like 3%. Oh damn, man, like you look lean. How'd you do that? So like, when it comes to that, like in jiu-jitsu, like, I don't know, like it felt like I'm like losing myself a little bit just because I'm not anymore. I actually I want to go back to jiu-jitsu just because I'm starting to feel like insecure. Even though I work out, I'm strong, but like I start to feel insecure about myself. Like, man, like what if like somebody just as strong as me attack me? Am I skillful and am I good enough to be able to defend myself? And because I mean, there's strength, but then there's also skill. And you can have strength and get by, but then as soon as you get somebody just as strong as you are and just as athletic, what's the difference? The skill. And I start to get like insecure. So like I think maybe like November, and then we're talking about like the son, like showing them. I want him to get into jiu-jitsu. I actually showed him like right here at Carolina Reapers.
Yep.
It was like a wrestling kind of camp, and we went there and he saw it, and he was like, "Oh, I don't want to do it," So it was like part of me. I was like, "Man, you're gonna suck it up. You're gonna fucking do this," or like, it's like the boundary of like forcing your child to like, "Hey, man, you're gonna do this," and you have no say. Am I being a good father doing it that way, or like, "Hey, that's okay. We can do something else." So it's like I'm conflicted when it comes to that. So I do want him to try it, and I told him, well, I haven't told him yet, but like, hey, just give it like 2 months. Give me 2 months, and if you hate it, no problem. I need to get back to it anyways too. So I'll probably like drive and then, watch him do jiu-jitsu, and then my wife would come in and then pick him up, and then I'll do my jiu-jitsu and I'll drive home. And so it's I'm right there because like I know that I might get heartbroken as far as like, man, like I want you to like love this, and I want you to be badass, and I want you to be strong and being able to protect yourself. But if he's not into it, it's just gonna like set me off in a different direction, and like, you know what, yeah, it's fine, you can do whatever you want. And then next thing you know, like I've kind of like severed that connection because I got disappointed that he said that. So it's like conflicting in my mind as like a father, like, do I need to be hard, or do I need to be a little bit more kind of like comforting, and it's tough, because I mean, he might not like that, and maybe I can find him something that he might like more, and then I can meet him that way instead of like what I like, because like sometimes we do, like we kind of play around where like he does like leg kicks and he does like punch me in the stomach and stuff like that, and he does that all the time. It's like, man, I'm gonna take you to boxing class, bro. It's like, no, I'm not to do that. But like if he just like learn it, I think that he'd get like a sense of like confidence in himself that, man, this is actually fun. Because he just sees like kids getting taken down, and fighting, or like I guess like martial arts is such a direct competition where it's not like, oh man, I lost the ball, cool. my team is going to take care of it. So this one's like you get pinned down on your back. Somebody's basically imposing their will on you. So he might get like, I guess like mentally, he might just like feel like, oh man, like this sucks. But so I'm conflicted in that. I mean, what do you think about that?
I think, and once again, like the only real experience I have is the relationship I had with my father. And I think you do force them to do things. Like, I think that you say, hey, you're going to give them choices. So it's like, okay, maybe he has an interest in sports. Maybe he has an interest in watching some wrestling or something. And it's like, hey, you're going to train jujitsu, or you're going to pick a sport and play a season. It's like giving them kind of like, there's not as much choice as they think, but you're giving them this. Yeah. That way you're teaching them two things. You're teaching them, one, whatever they're going to learn through that sport, and two, you're teaching them to make decisions.
Yeah.
So I think there's some power in that. Another thing, my honest approach, because I think with this scenario, it's a little different, because I would view, if it were my son, if there's one thing I want to do for my sons, it's get them into combat sports earlier than I ever touched them. I picked up, I was always wrestling, always fighting with my friends, but never did it in a structured way or got coaching. And I think that to get them in younger without them having a choice, but this is the big but, and how I would think about maybe reframing the way you're kind of thinking about it, because you're talking about you want to get back into it, is I would never ask my sons to do something that they hadn't seen me do.
Right.
So maybe your son, I don't know if your son has seen you fight or seen you kind of on the mats doing some work. I think that's the kind of shit that, like, my father was, law enforcement, and he was fairly well known in our town, our small town. And I always remembered looking up to him in a father figure kind of way, but also as like an idol of mine growing up, because walking around town, he had a great sports career when he was in high school. Was an incredible sports player, soccer, baseball. I think he was all right at basketball, but mostly soccer and baseball. And everybody was always talking to me. Like, I remember having coaches growing up that I would walk on the field my first day of practice, and I remember this one baseball coach had just met him, had just joined the team, and he looks at me, he goes, "You're the Blades boy." He goes, I expect you to play well. I was starting pitcher, just for being there, just for having the last name Blades, because my father was a renowned pitcher in his day. And so I always looked at him and was like, set yourself up to be like, imagine if a bunch of other kids or adults or so-and-so are walking around, and your kid's maybe he's just soaking it up, just being around it. But it's like, my dad's the fucking guy. My dad's a badass.
Yeah.
And then he wants to emulate that.
Yeah. He calls me, like when he went home, it's crazy, because like he's actually, like through this process, he's teaching me more than I'm teaching him, and teaching me like, just to become like a better person, be like more kind of sympathetic kind of type thing. And when he was like, when he went home, he had like a few weeks of school left, and then it was like graduation, and the parents texted us, and they were saying like, oh, I want Muscle Man to be there, so like it broke my heart. I was like, damn it, man. I was like, I'm trying to be like this tough guy, and you saying that you miss me. I was like, I don't want to hear that, And like before he left, it was like, cause like I guess I'm so like my heart is like so tough. It's like you can't tell me like all this like like lovey two shoes kind of type thing. And when he was about to go home, my wife is so good at this, and like here's the gender thing, it's like, hey, what are you gonna miss most when you go home? And then pointed at the dogs, because we have 2 dogs, and then pointed at me, and I was like, damn it, what the fuck, bro?
Now I gotta go in the other room.
I was like, damn it. I was like, don't fucking say that. I was like, here I am, I'm like trying to be tough. I was like, don't fucking miss me, But like he said that, and it just got like, it broke down my walls, and like, damn it, man. I was like, am I just being like kind of like an asshole, like being like a tough kind of dad? And he just broke me, from that. And then like when he went home and his graduation, oh, is Muscle Man gonna be there? So it's like sometimes like maybe I get into my head sometimes, and like again kind of like like this podcast about like business entrepreneur. Like I see things like that, where like, okay, here's what needs to get done, gotta do it, okay, bang 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 bang, and then like that gray area, like I don't like playing in the gray area, so more like this and that.
Yep.
But like dealing with like people, there are those gray areas, and sometimes I try to like force myself to be like only black and white. And whatever I say, that's it, And yeah, it's crazy, man. As far as that, and it broke my heart. And I was having lunch at Sardine.
Great spot.
Yeah, I love that place. But I was having lunch with a good friend, and I was just talking about like the process of like fostering, and then there was like two girls. I guess that happened to hear it, right? So when we finished our conversation, we got up and we were gonna walk for a little bit, and the two girls, they stopped us. Hey, I overheard that you guys were like kind of fostering. I was like, what is that all about? Sorry for eavesdropping. I was like, no, that's fine. And I just kind of told him this and that. Told them, and she was like thinking about fostering, right? Because she was also a foster child, and she was talking about like somebody accepted me, somebody took me in as their own, and they eventually adopted me, right? And I was just talking about my experience and stuff like that, and then what she said really hit me. It's like, he's probably teaching you more than you're actually teaching him. And I was like, fuck. I was like, damn it, And I was like, man, because like, again, like, you know what they say, like when your child gets born, it's like something in you that clicks. I've never experienced it, something in you clicks to where like, hey, it's not all about you anymore. It's all about this right here.
Right.
And because I've had like parents tell me that, and I can't really explain it, but something just changed in me. And that's it. And whatever I wanted in my life just kind of changed. And it was all about this child. And, so me and my wife, we are trying, we're gonna do like, a procedure, like next year, and then kind of see how that goes. Once the insurance kind of, because we're not about to like spend a lot of money, and then like, oh, well, we got to go back to like the deductible again.
Right.
And that's ultimately kind of one of the reasons why we kind of got into fostering, and my wife really loves our foster son, and because that's kind of like fulfilling like a need for her to be a mother.
Right.
And when he went back home, I had to step up as a husband to let my wife take care of me, and then take care of her. So when he went home for 4 months, I knew that Miranda, my wife, was going to get devastated, and I had to step up for my business and then also step up as a husband. So I created all this list, because my wife, physical touch and active service was her thing. So like I created this list: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I sweep the floor. I wipe down the toilet, all this stuff. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. We have 2 dogs. We have a fenced-in yard. I got to pick up the dog poop, brush them, brush their teeth. That was like, and clean up the litter because we have a cat too. And that was like my job. And also like mow the lawn because I was like doing the summer. Now you don't have to as much. Yep. But I just committed to doing that. And, it's just, like I just had to step up as a husband, for that. Because like sometimes I do forget that, when I was pursuing her from the beginning, I was basically almost like doing whatever. Oh man, like, cause she used to live in North Myrtle Beach, and I lived in Conway, and that's like a 45 minute drive. And I remember like I'll drive up there like no problem. Yep. Now would I even say the same?
Right.
No, and it's like it's supposed to be the opposite. When you're married, you're supposed to love him even more. But sometimes you lose like that puppy love kind of thing, and then it's okay. I'm not gonna do that. And
right.
Yeah, so everything was doing good, and the next thing you know, we got a call that, hey, he's coming home with you guys. And we already got our fostering license got taken away. We didn't have the bedrooms anymore. We didn't have the clothes. And I turn his bedroom into an office for like my business. And next thing you know, bang. You know, we don't have. It was like we found out around like 2 o'clock, and he was with us at 5 o'clock. It was like that quick.
Wow.
You know, and my wife freaked out, and thank God like our friend had a futon. You know, like not the next door, but the door after, the next house. He had like a futon that size of like a twin. You know, so we had that. We had that for a little bit for him. You know, so it was a change, man. You know, after we were kind of doing good for a little bit, just because our relationship wasn't doing good, having Jude too, and I was doing prep too.
Yeah.
And it just really hit me hard when we went on a trip to England, Scotland, Amsterdam, and Switzerland. I was, she planned everything. I just held the money, and I just like was the guy in charge with transportation. And I wasn't grateful, man. I wasn't grateful. I was like, oh man, we're on this trip. I don't get to work. You know, that's gonna be a pain in the ass. I'm not making money. And then the whole time I was thinking about work. And then when we got back to the United States, she left. She left the following week to go to the mountains to see her friends for like a week. And then I was just left on my own. And I was like on the Facebook, I was seeing like memories from like last year. We went to Peru. The year before that, we were in Alaska, Hawaii, and something like that. And I was seeing it, and I was just looking at it. I was like, man, some of the people and some of the places that I've, you know, interacted with, I will probably never get to see again. And look at me over here, focus about work. And my wife planned this trip, and I wasn't even grateful for that. You know, so like it was just simmering in me. She was out of town, and I was like, dude, I was like tearing up, like, man, I was such a bad husband, and this and that. I missed, dude, like that whole week, I missed her, you know. And I even like walked with like my group of friends. I told them, it's like, man, like I feel crap. You know, I just feel like I'm in the fields, and I mean, what am I doing? Like as a husband, like she planned everything, and I'm over here like complaining how like I don't get to work and this is that, and I wasn't like 100% committed to that trip. And looking back, it's like, man, like I should have. So like now, like I want to push harder with my career as an online fitness can coach, so that way, like I provide those trips for her. You know, I want to push, get the right people on my team, and then help me kind of manage that, so that way, you know, I can work less.
Absolutely.
You know, and I might not make as much as far as that, but I have people working for me, and then it's almost like an automatic kind of job, you know, and be able to provide that for her. And eventually, like, I would like her to not work. And hey, man, you can do whatever you want. You know, if you want to work, you can work. But I want to be able to take care of you. And then whenever, if you want to go somewhere, we can go somewhere. Because like right now, I do have a location freedom, and I can work anywhere. I just need a laptop, a good internet. That's it. I can do that. And for her too, she also has like a virtual too. She works for Connections Academy for South Carolina for school, and but she can't just kind of leave, you know, and she can't just like go to like, because I think they can check your IP or something like that address. You can't just go to California and they're like, oh well, what's going on here, you know? So I do have like that location freedom, and I just got to work on just kind of like have like the financial kind of freedom.
Absolutely.
To be able to do that. You know?
So what's next for you in the business? What's kind of the next push for you?
Man, it's a bit crazy, man, because like I'm learning about like CRM. I'm learning about like all this crap, and it's like I don't know what the fuck to do. And but I would say like the next step is hiring somebody, like hiring a team. And right now I kind of been talking to my friend about kind of helping me manage the Facebook group, and then kind of creating some contents like recipe. It's like, hey man, that's all I need you to do, and I'll pay you every single month to do that. So I don't have to worry about that. And I'm still doing content on my own, but that would be like it is hiring somebody to do that, and then eventually like hire a messenger to kind of like reach out, like I don't know, like 50 people a day, lead generation.
Yep.
And then me worried about like, you know, the sales portion of that. And eventually, if they're good, like maybe I can get another person, another messenger, and then I can, if there's a lot of people coming in, then I kind of start to get like a sales associate to help me to do that. And then eventually that's it. But it's just kind of like, okay, when do I hire? How can I train them? Man, they suck. Do I need to fire them? And it's like, it's like uncertainty, to that. And I think that's what I love about like having like a business. It's like, you never get bored. But again, at the same time, it's like you can like lose sleep, It's like, man,
absolutely.
like, damn, like I haven't made sale this month, man. It's been crazy. What am I doing wrong? And just doing that, I got to do like the ads. I got to do social media, and then the system itself, plus the coaching. It's like, man, like I'm like spreading thin. So I eventually want to get that going and then grow my people. And that's kind of like the next hard thing is to grow that and hire people, grow them, and then hopefully pay them enough to where like they want to be with me, and hopefully make it a career for them. It's like, man, this is exactly what I want to do. And because like the guy that I was reaching out to, he has a full-time job. He's managing like a stone company, like for like graveyard
Yep.
stone, yeah. And he's doing that 100%. And I asked him, it's like, hey, I don't want a lot, but maybe if you do, maybe I'll start to give you clients that you can have. I'll take care of the sales. I'll give you clients and this and that. And then after that, hopefully maybe he'll love it enough to where, you know what, I love this so much, I'm gonna start doing this.
Yep.
And then he can like quit that and then work for me full time, and then hopefully making 60, 70, 80, 90K a year, I don't know. It just kind of depends on how the business is going, but it's limitless, versus like a salary. Oh man, like I'll give you like $2,000 raise, $5,000. Like, that's inflation right there. Pay me more, so we'll see, but that's the next step, is just hiring people and just growing them. But I have to grow myself first and learn the system, so that way I'm able to, I guess like I'm able to like ask them. It's like, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking. Is this doable?
Yep.
At least like I know enough knowledge to be able to do that. Versus like, hey man, I don't know what to do with this one. Just do it, and then I have like nothing. But I know you were saying about like something like, hey, I want you to let your creativity just kind of go.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, like, because I know my coaches told me, hey, learn it first and be good at it. So that way when you hire somebody and train somebody, you at least know what you're talking about.
Right.
And
that's what you need, that, in my opinion, to find the traits in the person that's going to fill that role.
Right. Because you know what it takes.
I knew he was the guy before he ever stepped foot in here.
Right. So that was my step for me. It's just hiring people and growing them.
That's awesome.
You'll see how it goes.
That's awesome, man. So for all the folks watching, where can they find you, and why would they want to find you?
Hey, if you want to find me, just go to Instagram. You can do rugged_Kurt. And why would you want to find me? Because I do a lot of free stuff. I do a lot of like fitness challenges. I do a lot of, free recipes that I put out there. So if that's something that you want to do and just actually learn and not get any bullshit out there, just come follow me. And if you want to work together, just let me know, and then I'll take care of you.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yes,
it's
sir.
been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
And you happen to know the Will Young that came on the podcast? You know him personally?
I do. And Spencer, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like, my head's kind of raking as we're going here. I definitely think that we should do a 4-person podcast with you, myself, Spencer, and Will Young.
Oh, I'm down.
I say we throw it together. I'll message them. I'll message them today and see what they all think as far as time frame, and maybe in the next week or two we can.
Just let me know.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I look forward to having you back on.